Today we're in Red Rock Canyon outside of Las Vegas, and our goal is to summit Juniper Peak. Okay, which one is Juniper Peak? There is Rainbow Peak on the left. Juniper Peak is the smaller peak on the right. And between the two is Juniper Canyon. So what we're going to do is head for the opening of Juniper Canyon, head up Juniper Canyon, lots of boulders and brush to navigate, so you'll see some of that. And what you see up above is Brownstone Wall. When we get to the base of Brownstone Wall, we're going to take a right and just head up along the base of Brownstone Wall, and then finally summit Juniper Peak on its right side. You see that little channel that goes up the right side? That's our summit, the final summit route. And so, where are we? Red Rock Canyon, as I mentioned, and just a few more of the sites here. There is Mount Wilson. Indecision Peak is the next to the left. And then you get the southern Rainbow Mountains. Hidden Peak, Black Velvet Peak, Windy Peak, Hollow Rock Peak, and South Peak. And then above the Rainbow Mountains, you see above Rainbow Mountain there, the darker line there, that's limestone, and that is the Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridge line, which actually parallels the Rainbow Mountains all the way from Highway 160 to Willow Spring. And let's see. Okay, by the way, here is North Sandstone Peak. And there is Bridge Mountain. White Rock Mountain. Behind White Rock Mountain is the La Madre Mountains ridgeline that ascends to El Bastardo. And let's see, El Bastardo. There's El Bastardo. To the right of that is La Madre Mountain. To the right of that is El Padre Mountain. And then you can see the Calico Hills. And above and behind the Calico Hills is Damsel Peak. You can find adventures to all of these destinations on LasVegasAreaTrails.com, along with videos and maps. And here is Blue Diamond Hill. And then circling around, we're back to our goal, Juniper Peak. So let's get started. And our team today is Sammy on the left, Garrett on the right, and Glenn in the distance. So let's get going. And here's the beginning of our route as we head toward Juniper Canyon. We're going to hit the Arnite Trail and then skirt the base of Rainbow Mountain, and then finally begin ascending Juniper Canyon. Looking toward a lot of brush today. It is the Middle of April. So we've probably seen about 20 of those deer. I think they're antelope, I'm not sure. Anyway, continuing along this really nice trail that takes you from the place we parked at the end of the scenic loop all the way to this point on the scenic loop where we'll be crossing the trail soon and heading onto the Arnite Trail. I was thinking this was going to take us out of our way and actually be longer, but it is a streamlined route to the Oak Creek Canyon trailhead, which is just ahead here where we're going to catch the Arnite Trail. So actually, that is a very nice route. And if you don't have a pass for Red Rock Canyon, you can park for free where we parked at a little parking area at the end of the scenic drive, and just take this fine trail all the way to the Oak Creek trailhead and to the Arnite Trail. Pretty cool. And here we are already at the Oak Creek Canyon trailhead, circling around to the Arnite Trail, which is right over here. So awesome route. I've never tried that before. There you have it. And here we have a closer look at Juniper Canyon, right between Rainbow Mountain on the left, Juniper Peak on the right, and there's Juniper Canyon. We're going to head up that canyon, lots of brush and boulders, as I mentioned, and then take a right at the base of Brownstone Wall, and then head up to the final approach, which is right here. Then we'll be on Juniper Peak. Pretty awesome trip. So here we are on the Arnite Trail, approaching Juniper Canyon. Pretty straight shot, actually. And there's the opening of Juniper Canyon. So things are going to get exciting very shortly as we enter the canyon. And then just to look around. There's Blue Diamond Hill. Rainbow Mountains. And here's a really good shot of Bridge Mountain. Okay, onward. Continuing along toward Juniper Canyon. And you see there is the entrance. The brush is going to get thicker here, and more boulders on the trail. But what we're looking for is what I call the landmark boulder at the mouth of Juniper Canyon. That's a great marker. You can see it from all the way above, and you can see it from approaching. There's so much here as far as vegetation. It's hard to name them all. But you who are more familiar with the vegetation can certainly name everything that you're seeing. That's why I panned around a little slowly. There's a juniper with juniper berries, but I don't really have time to name everything. There's cholla cacti, there's sage, there's pine, ponderosa, I'm not ponderosa, pinyon pine, and manzanita. Ashy silk tassel is beginning to show up. That and the manzanita are going to take over pretty much. And then, yeah, desert holly. So there's just so much here. And I've only touched the surface of what is growing around us. And boy, it's all going to make a very thick wall to penetrate as we get up into Juniper Canyon. You'll see. Closing in now on Juniper Canyon. And there's the opening right above us. And one of these boulders over in this direction is the boulder that I refer to as the landmark boulder. There are a number of boulders. I don't think this is it. I think it's more up in this direction. Maybe you can see some of the boulders here. One of these is our landmark boulder that marks the entrance to Juniper Canyon, and we'll get a better shot of it as we are going to pass right under it. A lot of cholla cacti. Those are the kind of stringy cacti. Do not touch them. They have barbs and they will not let go. Okay, onward. And here's the landmark boulder. How did we get here? We kept going on. When the Arnite Trail connected with the Knoll Trail, we went just a little further, across the base of the canyon, found this nice approach on, it's the right side of the canyon. This is where you want to be. And this is gonna, if you see this boulder before you cross the canyon, cross under the boulder, because you want to be up here, and this trail will take you all the way to the base of the canyon where there's so many boulders that you're going to put away your trekking poles and begin to climb. As you can see, we're closing in on the upper end of the canyon, but we're sticking to the right, the upper right side as we continue upward. It gets a little squirrely around here, and you're tempted to go down into the canyon, where you will be delighted by a world of hurt that you'll find down there. So yeah, we are now heading up. Here we go. Okay, this is what you want to look for, is where we finally descend. The little trail we've been weaving around ends. You want to stay to your right. You're going to look for a large boulder. There is a cairn on top of it. At least there was last time I was here. That's where you drop your trekking poles and begin to boulder your way up a very boulder strewn section of the canyon. But this you want to catch is where you descend. Well, this is further than I've gone before. There is a boulder field, the upper end of the canyon. You can see a trail up there, Yeah, so you can circle over and miss um, a lot of the boulders and brush, but there's no easy way through this canyon. So anyway, yeah, I've been to this point before, and now we continue upward. Let's get a good place to stand. Continue up to that stretch up there, that red hill, and then take a left before the red. There's a channel that will lead us to the summit. So yeah, here we are. And this area right up here, this cliff, is brownstone wall. So we're skirting the edge of brownstone wall as we continue up. And you can see a much better pathway through Juniper Canyon in one of my earlier videos on Juniper Canyon. So yeah, unfortunately this video is not going to show you the canyon itself, maybe a little more on the way back. So continuing on up now. Well, here we are following the base of Brownstone Wall. There's Brownstone Wall. And heading up in this direction. Yeah, that brush in the canyon really wiped me out. But continuing upward, you get up to this furthest point that you can see. Take a left. We're on the final summit approach. And here's looking around the area, downward. Rainbow Mountain. Okay, let's continue on up. As you can see, this little section up here is a bit of a reprieve from the steep sandstone slope, which is below. Yes, we crossed that slope or slab, whatever you want to call it. And now continuing up what looks like a little trail. We don't know how long it's going to last, but at least it's here now. Continuing to ascend. Combination of sandstone slabs and intermittent trails, but we're continuing on up. And there is Juniper Peak up there, so we definitely have a ways to go. And here's the last stretch up to the summit, right along that pathway to the right of the rocks, and then we'll turn around to the left once we get up. Okay, continuing on up. We're just taking the channel right along the edge of the cliff. And actually it's easier than some of the terrain we've been doing, but I totally exhausted myself in that canyon. I ended up going through a brush section. I needed to plow. Wow, that was an experience. But anyway, yeah, you can see the terrain here. Okay, we're closer to the summit now. You can look down the channel that we just ascended, And that channel just hugs the edge of the cliff all the way up. Wow. Now things are coming into view in the distance. You can see the Calico Hills. La Madre Mountains ridgeline. And you can see where the La Madre ridgeline meets the Wilson Ridge up here. We'll get a look at that close up in a future adventure. So we're continuing up here, and I understand there's a class 4 move above, but that you can avoid it by going through a rabbit hole. We'll find out. And we've made it to the famous Juniper Peak rabbit hole, which is right here, right up through the rabbit hole and then onward. So here we go. Now, above and beyond the rabbit hole, and we're looking at the summit up ahead. So yeah, this is awesome. Now let's go on up to the summit. Woohoo! Summit of Juniper Peak. Thanks to these three guys. Wow. There we've got the Las Vegas Strip. There's, looking down, Juniper Canyon. Oh my gosh. Wow. I can't believe I'm up here. That is just insane. La Madre ridgeline. There's Bridge Mountain. And that slope, the slope of death. So here we are, summit of Juniper Peak. And there you can see La Madre Mountain in this direction. And from the summit, here's a 360 degree looking over toward Damsel Peak, Calico Hills, Gray Cap Ridge in the background. Yeah, this isn't as high as Rainbow Mountain or Mount Wilson, but wow, that final approach is a challenge. I'm not sure what the elevation is. I'll add it as a note on the video. I'll check it right now. I think it's like 7,000. No, 6,000 something. 62, I believe. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, Rainbow Mountain's Upper Crest Ridge line. And here's the very point where it spins off to the La Madre ridgeline. And that's going to be an adventure that we'll do with Glenn, making that connection between the two ridgelines. That should be awesome.
6,100.
6,100 is the elevation of Juniper Peak. Thank you, Sammy. Yeah, and it is definitely a vertical drop from here, which explains why we took it in a roundabout way. Even Glenn couldn't have done that vertical cliff, maybe.